All right. This is the week review, week number 1 review for BCA, BCA-101 Introduction to Computers and Information Systems. So the on-campus in the IT area, you have a login and password and so forth. The online students will not access that. Okay? We did the cards, your career, a little technology background, what hobbies, and course expectations, what you expect, and what learning issues. We also filled out that course survey, which talked a lot about these same items. Okay? Day 1 review talks about these specifics. This is also a day 1 review topic. So there is a video on that that talks about the specifics. The important thing is we use search. Search finds us all these sources, and then we look at the source and see what kind of information is there. Okay? And our search engine, whichever one we're using, typically lists these in some particular order, using some type of algorithm, some type of mathematical way of looking at from the internet. Okay? And we're going to mention that a little bit more here in a minute. It uses the internet to find these links. Those links then take us to the source. We have to be very careful about the content. I know I'm repeating this, but when you collect content via some online source, you need to check to see in terms of, is it reliable, is it opinion, fact, or is it based on lots of people's opinion, is it cited based on some political view, etc., etc. Okay? More details there if you want to review day 1. Also on day 1, we got this picture here, and I'm going to re-emphasize a couple things. The internet allows us to access this information out on the web. Maybe here is Google. So we can go into Google, look in its data center, and then it'll send us back the information, that list of information that has the links to the sites. And maybe one of those links then will take us out here to Wikipedia. And we'll read about the information and bring that back via the internet. Now we could be working from maybe home, or we could be here at the college. So here I drew the NIACC cloud, and inside the NIACC cloud I drew the IT cloud. So for example here, when we're in PC 229, we could be working on a computer here. Excuse me, Papa John Center. And then from there we can connect to a routing device which connects out to the internet. And the internet then allows the traffic to move to these web servers. For example, I can be at home and I can come in to NIACC, actually go here and take a look on a server at NIACC, more or less look at Angel, and I can update some school stuff on Angel, and Angel then would respond, and it, like I said earlier, could take a different route and end up back at home. We'll talk a little more specifically about that. We also showed here you could have a cell phone connected into the NIACC Wi-Fi, and then that could get you out to the internet. Internet service provider, internet service provider, internet service provider, same thing here, internet service provider. if anything's connected to the internet, like Amazon.com, they're either their own provider or they're going through a provider. Here we get into a few details that are actually going to come up this week. Okay, they'll come up this week. We did a review. Okay, we talked about hardware, talked about software. Okay, we have the equipment that we work on. We have the programs, the instructions that tell the equipment what to do, and then we have people who actually use that. Okay, and we talked about users. You're at some level, and you become more of an expert. And some people, after reading through a lot of information, they're pretty good experts already. So we would like to take wherever they are here and add some items to them and make them better experts. So this makes up 3 major parts of computing, if you want to think of it that way, or computing systems, I think I used the word. The last part is our ability to connect. More or less, we have a PC. Let's say we have a PC here in the lab. So we're thinking this is PC 229 for use online. It's just a computer lab at the college. In that computer lab, we use cable. We connect the PC to a switch. That switch connects to a multi-layered switch, which you don't need to know a whole lot about. And then we use fiber to get across campus, okay, right here, okay. And actually, this is actually a cable to this router, and then we use this fiber to get across campus to another building, and this gets us out to the internet. You know, here we're still inside NIACC. Computing devices have some type of a processor, they have memory, and they have a way to store information. And we talk about those specifics later on. So this smartphone here, that also has some type of a processor and some type of memory and storage, which are probably connected together inside how much flash memory it has. So from the room, somebody on their smartphone can connect out to an access point here in college using the Wi-Fi of the college. And then this connects to a multi-layered switch, which goes through a firewall to this router and out to the internet. More on that later. Last thing, somebody had a smartphone on campus that wasn't connected to the Wi-Fi. We'll look at that here in a second. You can see these clouds, like the IT area, local area network, and this part of NIACC is a local area network. All these things are connected. So if you're on campus in another lab working on a PC, you can also store information here on campus on a data server. All that actually somehow connects together. Most of this is all physically connected together. Okay? Next part of the view, here's that router at NIACC that has a couple connections out to the ISP, Iowa Communications Network. Connects to the internet, which would allow us to connect to other places. Here, if you noticed before, I had that phone that was not connected to the network. So they're connected either 3G to 4G to their provider, and their provider then allows them to connect in the internet. And typically, they'll measure this on how many bytes you use. Okay? So they're measuring a quantity, you know, an amount. And as you use that up, if you go over that amount, well, then they'll probably charge you extra. Whereas the college, up here, this is how many bits per second. So it's measured a speed and it doesn't measure the quantity. So we can send as much as we want. It just as when it's busy, this might become an issue in sending the bits through. Something would be important to understand later on. So the people using Wi-Fi on campus with their smartphone, connecting to an access point, going into here, then they're using this resource to get the internet, and it's not costing them any of their data plan. Or it'd be the same thing if you connected in at IV. Okay, so here's the big picture. I'm going to add just a couple things to this. So you can see we have a local area network in the same geographical area. This here in cloud here that represents NIACC. Okay? So this Facebook, let's just say that's their data center down by Des Moines. If I spelled that right, by Des Moines. That could be considered a LAN because it's in one geographical area. Now Facebook has lots of data centers, but they have two big buildings down by Des Moines in which they have a data center. I'm not sure if they're both open yet. They have a big substation power plant behind them, and just outside Des Moines along the interstate, north of the interstate, just kind of across the interstate from Altoona. Google, they have a data center in Council Bluffs, and I think they're adding on to that to make it bigger. Supposedly going to be the biggest data center in the country, in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And so they connect in. Okay, so you can see the internet's just a way to transport it. The actual information is sitting in these clouds, you could say, all over. For example, at your house, you might have a cable modem, connected cable that goes to your provider, like for us at my house, MediaCom. Comes to there, from there it goes to that wireless routing device, and then you can have a computer connected to it, or like right now I have this tablet's connected Wi-Fi to that, and I have a laptop connected Wi-Fi to that, and my wife's laptop. My phone just went off. I don't know if you heard it in the background. So my smartphone's Wi-Fi connected to that device, and that's how we get access to the internet. Alright, so you can see the big picture here at the campus. This is fiber optic, these are cables, and that's literally how things get connected out. Could be Wi-Fi or directly connected, depending on what device and so forth you're on. Same way at home. It's not a whole lot different at Google or Facebook or Amazon and so forth. Alright. Little review. 4 main parts of the computer system. Okay? The equipment, the software that makes it work, obviously people are involved. In some cases a lot, in some cases just a little. Okay? And networks allow us to move the data. And data, okay, data are raw facts that are processed into information. Data is represented as bits, binary digits, which we talked about. When we convert things into binary digits, we say it's now digital. Our music is now digital. Our TV is now digital. Our video is now digital, and data, and so forth. A little review. 8 bits give us a byte. For example, using ASCII code, that represents capital A. This right here, I will use this reference throughout the course. We'll talk about things like at the college stores how many credits you have how many credits you have, and how many quality points you have. And then you can divide that out and you get a GPA. So we don't store your GPA. We keep these. It's just like you know, in data, you don't store how old somebody is, you store their birth date. So the birth date's a piece of data, and then we can process that into information. We can have a bunch of bits that represent something like a movie. We store the bits, and then a piece of software takes those bits and creates for us the movie on the screen. It's really that way. For example, we'll talk another example here. I think I've got a pretty good look at this. So if you go out to some website, so out here is a web server. What you bring back is HTML information. And we'll look at that more specifically later on. And that comes in, let's say here at the college, comes all the way into your PC. And you have a browser, and the browser takes the HTML, which is more like data, and converts that into something that looks nice. Web page. We do it all the time. We store data in a database and we pull it out and create things. Okay. We take data like the prices from a store, and eventually it turns into the what you have to pay to get the product. It's just a process all the time. So again, here's a little review. We have local area networks, and when we connect these local area networks, and be kind of broad, with another local area network, like out to the web, when we do that, we have a wide area network, usually covering a large geographical area. And you can do the same thing. You can have a network here at NIACC, and we can pay a provider to connect us to a network, let's say in Charles City. And in between here, we could pay a provider to connect us. A provider would be like AT&T or Sprint or your local phone company and so forth. And there's ways to make this connection through the internet also. Alright, so within here we've talked about some key things. For example, I said we use fiber to connect here on campus. We use, in some cases we use wired connections in our land. We use fiber here. This is another example too, is these are fiber links going out to the ICN. Okay? And then the other way you can connect is wireless. You can send the signal Wi-Fi, 4G, and there's some other options. Alright. So we've covered a number of items that are in the outline. We talked about this whole idea of data. You would process and get information. Okay. Same thing though here, IPO, input, process, output. Alright, we talked about LANs and WANs, we talked about wire, fiber optic. The last thing I want to mention, this ability to use networks allows us to share information, which is huge nowadays. We can share locally or even remotely hardware devices. or I'm going to say hardware, or maybe more a device like a printer. We can have one printer and everybody can use it. We can share software. You know, have software located in one place and have lots of people use it, as long as the licensing is okay for that. Or we share apps in the cloud. That's it.